The day I buried Emily, all I had left were our photos and memories. But when something slipped from behind our engagement picture that night, my hands started shaking. What I discovered made me question if I'd ever really known my wife at all. The funeral home had tied a black ribbon on our front door. I stared at it, my key suspended in the lock, wondering who thought that was necessary. As if the neighbors didn't already know that I'd been at the cemetery all afternoon, watching them lower my wife into the ground while Reverend Matthews talked about angels and eternal rest. My hands shook as I finally got the door open. The house smelled wrong, like leather polish and sympathy casseroles. Emily's sister Jane had helped by cleaning while I was at the hospital during those final days. Now everything gleamed with an artificial brightness that made my teeth hurt. Home sweet home, right, Em? I called out automatically, then caught myself. The silence that answered felt like a physical blow. I loosened my tie, the blue one Emily had bought me last Christmas, and kicked off my dress shoes. They hit the wall with dull thuds. Emily would have scolded me for that, pressing her lips together in the way she had, trying not to smile while she lectured me about scuff marks. "Sorry, honey," I muttered, but I left the shoes where they lay. Our bedroom was worse than the rest of the house. Jane had changed the sheets, probably trying to be kind, but the fresh linen smell just emphasized that Emily's scent was gone. The bed was made with hospital corners, every wrinkle smoothed away, erasing the casual mess that had been our life together. "This isn't real," I said to the empty room. "This can't be real." But it was. The sympathy cards on the dresser proved it, as did the pills on the nightstand that hadn't been enough to save her in the end. It had all happened so suddenly. Em got sick last year, but she fought it. Chemotherapy took an immense toll on her, but I was there to support her every step of the way. The cancer eventually went into remission. We thought we'd won. Then a checkup showed it was back, and it was everywhere. Em fought like a puma right up until the end, but it was a losing battle. I could see that now. I fell onto her side of the bed, not bothering to change out of my funeral clothes. The mattress didn't even hold her shape anymore. Had Jane flipped it? The thought made me irrationally angry. 15 years. I whispered into Emily's pillow. 15 years, and this is how it ends? A ribbon on the door and casseroles in the fridge. My eyes landed on our engagement photo, the silver frame catching the late afternoon light. Emily looked so alive in it, her yellow sundress bright against the summer sky. Her laugh caught mid-burst as I spun her around. I grabbed it, needing to be closer to that moment and the joy we both felt then. "Remember that day, Em? You said the camera would capture our souls. Said that's why you hated having your picture taken, because..." My fingers caught on something behind the frame. There was a bump under the backing that shouldn't have been there. I traced it again, frowning. Without really thinking about what I was doing, I pried the backing loose. Something slipped out, floating to the carpet like a fallen leaf. My heart stopped. It was another photograph, old and slightly curved, as if it had been handled often before being hidden away. In the photo, Emily was sitting in a hospital bed, cradling a newborn wrapped in a pink blanket. Her face was different than I'd ever seen it, exhausted and scared, but with a fierce love that took my breath away. I couldn't understand what I was looking at. Although we tried, Emily and I were never able to have kids. So whose baby was this? With trembling fingers, I turned the photo over. Emily's handwriting, but shakier than I knew it. "Mama will always love you." Below that was a phone number. "What?" The word came out as a croak. "Emily, what is this?" There was only one way to find out. The phone felt heavy in my hand as I dialed, not caring that it was nearly midnight. Each ring echoed in my head like a church bell. "Hello." A woman answered, her voice warm but cautious. "I'm sorry for calling so late." My voice sounded strange to my ears. "My name is James. I just found a photograph of my wife Emily with a baby, and this number." The silence stretched, so long I thought she'd hung up. "Oh," she finally said, so softly I almost missed it. "Oh, James, I've been waiting for this call for years. It's been ages since Emily got in touch. Emily died." The words tasted like ashes. "The funeral was today. I'm so sorry." Her voice cracked with genuine grief. "I'm Sarah. I adopted Emily's daughter, Lily." The room tilted sideways. I gripped the edge of the bed. "Daughter?" She was 19. Sarah explained gently. A freshman in college. She knew she couldn't give the baby the life she deserved. It was the hardest decision she ever made. We tried for years to have children, I said, anger suddenly blazing through my grief. Years of treatments, specialists, disappointments. She never said a word about having a baby before me. Never. She was terrified, Sarah said. Terrified you'd judge her, terrified you'd leave. She loved you so much, James. Sometimes love makes us do impossible things. I closed my eyes, remembering her tears during fertility treatments and how she gripped my hand too tight whenever we passed playgrounds. I'd assumed it was because we were both so desperate to have a child, but now I wondered how much of that came from longing for the daughter she gave up. Tell me about her, I heard myself say. Tell me about Lily. Sarah's voice brightened. She's 25 now, a kindergarten teacher, if you can believe it. She has Emily's laugh, her way with people. She's always known she was adopted, and she knows about Emily. Would you like to meet her? Of course, I replied. The next morning, I sat in a corner booth at a cafe, too nervous to touch my coffee. The bell above the door chimed, and I looked up. It was like being punched in the chest. She had Emily's eyes and her smile. She even tucked her hair behind her ear like Em would have as she scanned the room. When our gazes met, we both knew. James! Her voice wavered. I stood, nearly knocking over my chair. Lily! She rushed forward, wrapping her arms around me like she'd been waiting her whole life to do it. I held her close, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, lavender, just like Emily's had been. I can't believe you're here, she whispered against my shoulder. When Mom called this morning, I've always wondered about you, about what kind of man my mother married. We spent hours talking. She showed me pictures on her phone of her college graduation, her first classroom, and her cat. I told her stories about Emily, our life together, and the woman her mother became. She used to send Mom birthday cards for me every year, Lily revealed, wiping tears from her eyes. We never spoke, but Mom told me she used to call now and then to ask how I was doing. Looking at this beautiful, brilliant young woman who had Emily's kindness shining in her eyes, I began to understand Emily's secret differently. It wasn't just shame or fear that had kept her quiet. She'd been protecting Lily by letting her have a safe, stable life with Sarah. It must have hurt Em deeply to keep this secret, but she'd done it out of love for her child. I wish I'd known sooner, I said, reaching for Lily's hand. But I think I understand why she never told me. I'm so sorry you can't get to know her, but I want you to know I'll always be here for you, okay? Lily squeezed my fingers. Do you think, could we maybe do this again? Get to know each other better? I'd like that, I said, feeling something warm bloom in my chest for the first time since Emily's death. I'd like that very much. That night, I placed the hidden photo next to our engagement picture on the nightstand. Emily smiled at me from both frames, young and old, before and after, always with love in her eyes. I touched her face through the glass. You did good, Em, I whispered. You did real good, and I promise you I'll do right by her. By both of you. When a proud father stumbles upon unexpected footage from his daughter's bachelorette party, his excitement for her wedding turns into heartbreak. Feeling like their bond has been shattered, he refuses to walk her down the aisle.